A concerned viewer reached out to our newsroom after witnessing a large police presence in downtown Springfield over this weekend. Western Mass News reporter Reagan Locree getting answers from police on what took place after hours on Worthington Street.
A Western Mass News viewer reached out to our newsroom concerned after witnessing a large police presence in downtown Springfield over the weekend and shared this video with us. We're getting answers on what unfolded after the bars closed late Friday night and early Saturday morning. We spoke with Springfield Police spokesperson Ryan Walsh, who tells Western Mass News Springfield officers were on weekend late night entertainment detail, helping cars get out of the nearby parking garage and making sure the bars cleared out as smoothly as possible when they responded to a disturbance on East Columbus Avenue.
There was an arrest made with an individual striking a security guard with a cane.
Walsh tells Western Mass News just around that same time, additional officers heard gunshots and quickly responded. A shooting took place inside of this parking garage on Worthington Street around 2 a.m. Saturday, something police say happens a few times a year.
Once or twice a year, there's seemingly some sort of incident of violence going on in that garage.
Walsh tells us at the same time, hundreds of people can be in that parking garage after leaving the bars and clubs in the area late at night. He says their officers are downtown monitoring as many of these late night establishments as possible. However, he notes they can't be everywhere at once.
They were within a range where they heard the gunshots going out, so we know they're in the right area.
Walsh says when officers went to investigate the gunshots, they saw a car speeding off. That car later ended up at Bay State Medical Center carrying a man with non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. Walsh tells Western Mass News detectives are investigating what started the altercation on East Columbus Avenue and in the parking garage on Worthington Street.
It doesn't seem to be at this point that there was any instances inside any of the clubs. Things are happening out on the street, in the garage, when people were possibly intoxicated or whatever it may be.
Walsh says investigators are working with what he calls uncooperative witnesses, as well as reviewing security footage. Reporting in Springfield, Reagan Locree for Western Mass News.